Good evening and thank you for joining us for 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. Let's jump right into some of our news this evening. Now, doctors across the country are sounding the alarm as the emergency medical kits on commercial flights sometimes fall short and could be outdated even. Our national investigative team found out the rules mandating what should be in those kits haven't been updated in nearly 2 decades. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa finds out what you need to know about first aid flight plans.
I'm going to go ahead and declare a medical emergency as well. It's actually the captain that's not doing well.
A Southwest flight from Las Vegas to Columbus, Ohio.
So we need to get him on the ground immediately. So we are an emergency aircraft at this point.
The captain falls ill with stomach pain and faints.
He is alert and attentive right now, but we do have medical personnel on board that is gonna check him out.
An off-duty pilot saves the day and lands the plane back in Vegas. From pilots to flight attendants and passengers.
Do you have any medical personnel on board?
Medical emergencies are on the rise as travel increases and the population ages. The Centers for Disease Control estimates about 1 in every 600 flights has a medical emergency.
Our dispatch should have notified your medical personnel and have the teams rolling.
Doctors are warning when the call for help comes down the aisle, they don't always have what they need to help you.
100% of the times that I've asked for those kits, they were either absent or incomplete.
Dr. Leo Nisola is talking about emergency medical kits on flights. All airlines are required by the Federal Aviation Administration to carry these bags filled with 25 mandatory items to save your life. The kits include a stethoscope, aspirin, a blood pressure cuff, and epinephrine to treat allergic reactions, but not an EpiPen, in pre-measured doses, which makes the drug easier to inject.
There was obviously no EpiPen, which is one of the most important items that you should have on the plane.
Neither the FAA nor Congress has updated what's required inside these kits for nearly 2 decades. Dr. Nisola's helped in at least 5 in-flight emergencies.
I think those kits are usually outdated, the ones that I've come across, and could definitely use some improvement.
He's nowhere near alone. Last year, a doctor tweeting to an airline, "Your medical kits need a glucometer, EpiPen, an automatic blood pressure cuff. It's impossible to hear with a disposable stethoscope in the air. Please improve this for passenger safety." It went viral, and doctors from across the country weighed in. An ER doctor writing, "Need to add Narcan." Another saying very few of these supplies would work for small kids or babies.
First time I saw this kit, I was astonished that they did not have something as basic as a glucometer, which is a blood sugar monitor, because one of the most common things that can happen to someone on a plane or while traveling is their blood sugar gets a little bit too low or maybe gets too high, and that can cause them a lot of issues.
Dr. Amy Faith Ho works in a Texas ER and has helped with medical emergencies on multiple flights. She says some airlines are going above and beyond to add more items and medications to their kits, just not all of them. In 2020, the FAA issued guidance to airlines encouraging them to include more. It's still not mandatory to add the extra items.
Should this be better regulated? Should there be a uniform policy for all airlines and not airlines electing to do things or not do them?
But I absolutely think that this needs to be centralized and regulated in one place so that you can know what you might have on any given airline.
There's no government agency tracking all in-flight medical emergencies, so we asked the FAA for a list. The agency eventually discovered it does track some of these incidents. So we analyzed what it gave us and found more than 400 medical emergencies on commercial flights in the last 5 years. Most of those involved injuries to the flight crew, but some of them involved injuries to passengers. We found passengers falling ill, having seizures, a passenger with a broken leg from turbulence, a flight attendant inadvertently stuck with an insulin shot while trying to help a passenger with a diabetic issue.
People live into their 70s, 80s, 90s, and if you have medical conditions, certainly you shouldn't have to be afraid of flying.
Avital O'Glasser's been a doctor for 16 years, and she's helped patients on half a dozen flights. On a recent flight, she needed the kit, and she says it was hands down the best medical kit she's ever seen.
In the heat of the moment, when you're trying to stabilize a patient at 30,000 feet, like not having to dig through something, but having a very clear, organized, this is here, this is there, this is color-coded, these are the doses we have, gave me just so much peace of mind.
That kit was made by MedAir. 16 airlines around the world use these kits, but not every U.S. airline. MedAir did not disclose which carriers are involved, but Alaska Airlines and Delta told us they use the kits. They are filled with more than the FAA requires.
For airlines and aviation in general, weight and size of every item is critical.
Dr. Paulo Alves is the company's global medical director. He helps decide the additional items for the MedAir kits. He's been involved in 25 in-flight emergencies.
Most airlines in this country, what they carry in the kit is actually well beyond the minimum requirements prescribed by the FAA.
He led a 2019 task force created by the FAA to review what new items need to be in these kits. It made several recommendations.
The FAA is actually the governmental agency responsible for enforcing the medical kits and controlling the medical kits. But they don't define the content of the medical kit.
In a statement, the FAA told us it's reviewing the emergency medical kit requirements based on the input from this task force. Though changing the official list of requirements for these kits means Congress has to act. Until then, some of the emergency medical kits on flights continue to be outdated and inconsistent.
If you are a patient and you are traveling, please, please, please make sure that you keep any of your life-saving medications with you. Do not check it. Do not put it in your luggage.
Doctors tell us if you are allergic to something, carry your EpiPen. If you are diabetic, have your insulin and glucometer handy. If you're traveling with a sick child or you don't feel well, doctors say consider postponing your trip. And if you are a doctor, make sure you have your credentials accessible. You never know when the shout down the aisle will come. For Investigate TV, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And let's switch gears now and bring in Chief Meteorologist Aaron Christensen to talk about the weather. Aaron, you mentioned last night that we might sleep through some of the rain that we saw, and I definitely did. Didn't bug me at all.
Okay, well,
that's beautiful, though.
That's good. Yeah, some of us woke up to a little bit of rain. I think I got a few hundredths of an inch to about a tenth of an inch at my house. At the airport, only 200ths of an inch. But if you're disappointed with how much rain you got, we have another storm system on the way. So another round of valley rain and mountain snow. But in between the two storm systems, temperatures are going to drop off quickly. So it is a first alert action night for us because we're expecting the first freeze of the season for much of the Tucson metro area. In fact, that 32 degrees that we'll record at the airport is actually about a month later than normal for us. Typically, it's the 3rd of December when Tucson records that first freeze. So I guess you could say, Mary, we're kind of due. Here's what we're expecting for the rest of southern Arizona. 31 degrees overnight in Marana and Oro Valley, in the teens for Wilcox and Benson, 20 for Douglas, 27 Sierra Vista, 27 in Green Valley, and the freezing mark for Sells. Sells is one of those areas under our freeze warning tonight. In fact, most of Pima and Pinal counties tonight and tomorrow night. So we've got back-to-back freeze warnings where temperatures are going to be basically downright dangerous, anywhere from 28 to 34 degrees, and then staying there for several hours at a time. So it's on nights like this when you want to remember people and pets have to be indoors, cover up those sensitive plants, make sure those outdoor pipes are wrapped. That's why it's an action night, because there are these actions you will certainly want to take. Freezing for the foreseeable future. How's that for alliteration? Now, that one little hiccup there in the middle, Sunday, 36 degrees for a morning low. That's because we'll have a few clouds with that next weather maker, and that's going to trap in a little bit of the heat, but pretty darn close to freezing for about the next 7 or 8 nights in a row. Even our high temperature today, quite chilly, 53 in Tucson. In fact, that's the coldest high temperature we've recorded in 308 days. You have to go all the way back to the 2nd of March to find a day when we were below 54. So certainly if you were thinking, my goodness, this feels pretty darn cold today, you'd be right. It's been quite some time. Now, coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about the weekend forecast. We've made some adjustments there. It's the first weekend of the new year.
Yes, it is.
How about that?
Perfect, Aaron. Well, looking forward to it. As you mentioned, join us on 13 News Live at 10 to get that full forecast, especially if you plan on getting out this weekend. Thank you, Aaron.
I'll see you then, Mary.
All right. Well, we will leave you with a live look of Mount Bigelow. You can kind of see it here and there with some of the light moving around, but you can definitely see the snow building up on the ground out there. Things are looking gorgeous but chilly. Again, we hope you will join us on 13 News Live at 10. Hope you're having a great evening, and we'll see you later.